What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, with my other host right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Today, we are going to touch base on the Aaron Rodgers to the San Francisco 49ers rumors. We're going to touch base on Jalen Carter. We're going to also touch base on that number 3 overall pick. But before we get into that, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and if you're listening to this on audio, follow. If you're watching on YouTube, we have an audio version. If you're listening on audio, we have a YouTube version. Check us out everywhere.
And it's a rumor going around right now that Aaron Rodgers could potentially go to the 49ers. It surfaced from this clip we're about to show you right now from the Craig Carton show on FS1. And here's what he had to say about the whole thing.
And Aaron Rodgers would absolutely want to play for this franchise. The franchise is the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, no.
Okay, they have Trey Lance coming off a broken ankle. They've got Brock Purdy, who's not going to be throwing the ball till August or September. And they signed Sam Darnold. They do not have a quarterback right now. Maybe Trey becomes a stud. We don't know. Aaron Rodgers is from the area, all right, and has always said, I might want to go home one day. Now, he famously also said, I want to screw it to San Francisco for not drafting me.
Right.
Well, he's already done that, okay? So here's the reality. San Francisco does not have a first-round draft pick in this draft. They gave them all away to get Trey Lance. They do, however, because of compensatory picks, have like 5 third-round picks. So the conversation has been multiple third-round picks in this draft and a first-round draft pick in next year's draft. If this happens, the New York Jets no longer exist as a franchise.
All right, what did you think about him bringing up Aaron Rodgers to the 49ers instead of the Jets at this point?
I mean, the thing that does stick out to me, it's been 3 weeks since Aaron Rodgers even went on the McAfee show and was like, hey, I'm going to the Jets. This is what I've decided. And there's been no traction and there's been no movement. And it seems like both sides are kind of at a stalemate. So it does make sense that now rumors are going to start to fly. The thing that does kind of pique my interest, if it is only going to take the third round picks and 1 first round pick next year, I think that's kind of a sweet deal. Like, selfishly, as a San Francisco 49ers fan and a content creator, I would love for this to fucking happen. I would this is one of the biggest franchises in the league in American sports. So to have a guy who has been a multiple MVP years, I think that this is a scary, scary team if you get Aaron Rodgers on it. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but it's nice to talk about.
I think it's 100% not going to happen. I think he doesn't really make any good points in that video of why it should happen. It would be cool to have Aaron Rodgers for a year, but it doesn't make sense because we have a lot of young quarterbacks. We signed Sam Darnold. We still have Trey Lance, and Brock Purdy's coming back from injury. So we do have a full quarterback room right now, despite him saying we have no quarterbacks. And the compensation, if the Jets aren't willing to give up a certain amount of compensation, do you think the 49ers are going to give up more than the Jets? They're pretty desperate right now, right? They have Zach Wilson and that's it.
The Jets are super desperate. I think this is more to grease the wheels on the Jets than it is to get the 49ers re-involved. One thing that does kind of stick out to I was reading an article on SB Nation and they were saying that the Jets didn't know that the 49ers were involved in talks. And now this is actually news to them. Hey, what the fuck? There was another team involved. So it does scream trade bait. But if true, again, a couple of third round picks, especially because we got a lot of them just as compensation. Why not? Why not throw out? I'd give them even 4 third round picks and our first overall next year.
And Trey Lance?
They won't take him. They have Jordan Love. Let's go ahead and just say that. I get where he's coming from as far as there are no quarterbacks. One, Brock Purdy has a brace on his arm. He just got done with surgery. Yeah, he's supposed to be up and at him soon, but you just never know with recovery time. Two, Trey Lance is a habitual bench rider. Like, we just haven't seen him play. I would be fine walking away if Aaron Rodgers was involved. And 3, Sam Darnold I'm fine with him just being a backup, just being a strong, sturdy backup, someone who's always there. So yeah, it does make sense. If we really do want to go ride for Rodgers, let's go ahead and do it. Again, this is a guy who was tied to the 49ers. Was it last year or the year before when he announced, like, during the draft right before it, like, trying to really press the Packers? And guess what? The only team that was kind of available and ready for it was the 49ers. And they were like, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. So I don't know if the personalities match up as far as Kyle Shanahan and Aaron Rodgers, but we do know that offense works with Aaron Rodgers because we've seen it with LaFleur. You know what I mean? What do you think about the fit?
I'm going to say the personality definitely doesn't match up because of the attitude of Aaron Rodgers. What did Aaron Rodgers say? What was the one team when fans were calling to him on the golf course? They're like, who are you going to play for? He said, not San Francisco. This guy fucking hates the 49ers because they passed on him. And he still holds that grudge to this day. And for him to say, like, in an off season where he can go anywhere, basically, he can be a free agent and look for a trade to point out the one team, not San Francisco. Like, dude, come on. Like, you're still holding on to that. Like, just let it go already. This is the best team for you to win a Super Bowl if you chose us. So do you think he wants to be a 49er after saying that still?
I think he would do it. I think, like, what offensive player in their right mind does not want to fit into this system? You have so many weapons. I think it's a better fit than the Jets, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. You have more running backs, you have more receivers, you have one of the best tight ends in the league, and you have an offensive line that can keep you upright. So, like, I feel pretty good about it. If they get the right tackle shirt up, this is a surefire Super Bowl contender right off the bat.
I think what stalls out on this trade is the 49ers cap room. We have no cap space. So, like, logistically, I don't know if this trade would even be possible. We'd probably have to give up, like, a Deebo Samuel or, like, someone with a salary of, like, Kittle, like, just naming our highest paid players. Or we'd have to, like, decimate a bunch of mid-level players to pay for this guy because he's not going to just, like, come over for nothing.
I would do it. I would do it. Hands down, I would do it. What you're doing,
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I like Brock Purdy too. I've said on record, I really do like Brock Purdy. But in this made-up world where this is actually an option, I would do it. Why wouldn't you want a Hall of Fame quarterback to step in? We already seen the 49ers get burned by this decision previously with Tom Brady. When I was screaming for Tom Brady, let's get Tom Brady, everyone was like, no, we don't want Tom Brady. You're fucking stupid, blah, blah, blah. Well, look he went out and won a Super Bowl. We're up here with we're talking about NFC championships, bro. We're talking about practice.
I definitely okay, last year he didn't play his best ball, but he's definitely still at this point better than any quarterback on our current roster. I'll give him that. And I mean, Brock Purdy runs the offense perfectly. I think his attitude and leadership skills transcend, like, obviously Aaron Rodgers as a leader and as a person. It'd be weird, I think, at first fit. And definitely, like, Aaron Rodgers is a guy, he doesn't want to put in off-season work to, like, get that chemistry with the receivers, with the offense. So it would be kind of Tom Brady in his first season with Tampa. Like, the first half of the season, they're not that good, but they're really trying to find each other. And then once they hit that second half, they had a bye week and they figured it out. They really took off. It would be like, we have to learn on the fly with Aaron Rodgers of, like, making this a cohesive unit. And he didn't want to put in extra time with us. And we have to just, like, try to do it as quickly as possible. So would he be able to do that with this team in less than a season and take us to a Super Bowl? He could possibly. I mean, Shanahan is amazing at play calling. So it's a risk. It's high risk, high reward. So I don't know how it would pan out between his ego and Kyle Shanahan's offense. But I mean, he took everything from LaFleur and listened to him. So I think he could work with Shanahan. I mean, he was humble enough to be like, yeah, LaFleur, do your thing. And then not until there was like some bad play calls in fourth quarters and playoffs where he kind of questioned LaFleur. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
and with this team, they're all vets. Like these are dudes who have been to battle day in and day out. They know what it takes to get over the hump, and they're like ready to go during playoff time. I think that would be like if they worked into shape, like how you know what I mean. Tom Brady did with the Bucks. Like that's fine. Again, especially because the NFC is weak. You know what I mean? If you get Aaron Rodgers on the San Francisco 49ers, a team that without a for sure like number one quarterback starting week one, they're already considered a contender in that division. So add in Aaron Rodgers, like you're telling me, like, bro, that's a automatic just Super Bowl. Like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and put my future in. That's good.
well, you guys let us know in the comments. Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers as the 49ers quarterback next year, even if it's just for one season, or you keeping the guys in house, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, maybe even a little Sam Darnold in there? Let us know in the comments. We want to talk about one guy that's been kind of the one guy dominating the headlines this draft cycle, Jalen Carter, defensive lineman from Georgia. He was basically, people said he could have been the number one pick. But now,
Yeah, he was number one in talent. Like, I think it was a pretty consensus before this draft cycle that Jalen Carter was the number one prospect coming out.
yeah, he got into some trouble with the law. Then he had a pro day that apparently went terrible, went wrong. He's out of shape. Could have been from him dealing with all the court stuff, all the off-the-field stuff, but bad pro day happened, and now his agent came out and said that he's not meeting with any teams outside of the top 10 unless they're trading up, which trade ups usually don't happen till the like draft night.
Yeah.
So how would you even know? Like, I need to meet with you before I trade up for you, you know? So what do you think is going on with this guy? Is he getting drafted top 10?
I mean, his stock is dropping like a rock right now. If you look at it, even prior to his run in with the law, you have these rumblings of, hey, he's a character guy. He's a character guy. And people did shit on, who was it? Who was the draft analyst that everyone shit on? Was it McShay? Todd McShay? I think it was McShay.
Yeah, he said that he had a bit of a character issue.
He did. So McShay comes out and says, like, hey, I'm hearing that Jalen Carter has character issues. That's just something to be worried about. Everyone shit on him. Then all of this stuff happens. He gets arrested at the combine. He gets charged later. Then he doesn't really show out, you know what I mean? In his pro day, can't finish the workouts. Do I think he's going to go in the top 10?
He doesn't show out in the pro day, but then still has the attitude of like, yeah, you're going to draft me top 10 anyways. Like, that comes off so arrogant
But it's a veteran agent that he has in Drew Rosenhaus who came out and actually said publicly, we are not meeting with anyone outside of the top 10. Maybe obviously he does know what he's doing. If I was him, I wouldn't have done it. If I'm going to be honest, I could very easily see him off of a lot of people's boards. For one, he is off the Raiders board for sure. I want to say one other team in the top 10 has him marked off, but the Chicago Bears have already met with him twice. So maybe that's where he's thinking he's going to go. Maybe he feels pretty for sure about it, but I think it's either the Seahawks or the Bears that are going to end up picking him if it's anybody. And if not, we're going to see a pretty sizable drop, especially because he's not meeting with anyone outside of the top 10. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think I see those stories and I see him like have that kind of attitude of like, well, you're still going to pick me and like do that move. And it makes me kind of question him as a person. And I'm like, oh, I kind of hope he falls. And like, I see people bury him on Twitter, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, he is like a top 5, top 3 talent. And it is a little hypocritical. Like, guys are getting arrested in the NFL all the time and people are still paying them millions and millions of dollars. So not to say he didn't do anything wrong. He did mess up. But I think there's going to be teams out there like to think that he's just going to drop to like the end of the first round because of this. Like, I don't think it's gonna. I think teams are too competitive and do not care enough about like those like criminal offenses or charges and things like that. I think he's going in the top 5.
Where do you think he's going?
I think Seattle at 5 or Cardinals at 3 if they don't move back. I think that those are 2 teams that really could use him, and could like Seattle could say like, yeah, maybe he has a shady background of like personality and everything. There's character questions, but we'll fix him. Like, we have a great attitude here. We have a great setup, and we feel confident in our ability to like kind of control that. So I think just like NFL teams don't care as much as like the fans on Twitter do. Like, I don't see it.
I think, again, the Seahawks are probably the most viable option at number 5. Do I see the Cardinals doing it? No. They have a first-time head coach. They do not have a leader in the locker room. J.J. Watt's retired. A.J. Green's out of there. Kyler Murray can't get off of Call of Duty. So it's just one of those things. I don't think that they have the culture. The team hates the organization as a whole. It got rated one of the worst. I do not see the Cardinals going for him. I can see the Seahawks. Pete Carroll has, done reclamation projects before. Outside of that,
like, the talent's too good. Like, if he gets to 8 or 9, is you telling me like this guy could have been the number 1 pick if the Bears were like still at the number 1, and he's at 8, and you're gonna say, oh man, like, he just has character issues. I can't get the best player in this draft on my team because he's a questionable character. Like, I don't think teams are going to pass that up in the top 10.
The one name I'm going to throw out there is Reuben Foster. I mean, 49ers fans know what happened with Reuben Foster. He was an elite talent. He goes in. He had a little bit of rumblings. He had that mishap at the combine where he got into it with the nurse. And then it just continued. And you see what ends up happening with guys like this. I'm not saying Jalen Carter is one, but if he does follow the Reuben Foster path where he just can't shake it, just never know. Like, so how many shitheads can you really fit? Like, you know what I mean? Can you draft that high, give that much status, and give millions and millions of dollars to? I would just be cautious. I know someone is going to take a flyer on it. I just don't know if it is going to be in that top 10. If it's the Bears, do they have a good enough culture to like really like help someone out? I would say no, because they're still trying to find their footing and where they could be, and one bad apple couldn't really ruin the bunch. I would say it would have to be like the Seahawks.
I think, yeah, the Seahawks are a perfect match to me. I think of like, this is a totally different situation, but I think of like Laramie Tunsil on draft night, like video coming out of him like smoking a bong. Like, I don't think teams cared too much. It was more of that fan blowback of like the reaction, like, oh man, this guy's supposed to go like top 5, top 10. You got like, he's doing this on camera. Like, you guys really gonna draft this guy? And so like, I feel like that's more what teams would care about. And I think if you could redo that draft though, like Laramie Tunsil goes top 5. Like, no one cared after he was drafted that a bong video came out. And I think that's what teams could look at with this guy. Like, hey, he did his time, whatever. Like, we're going to clean up his stuff. And if he's a great player, like, we're going to be so glad we drafted him in the top 10.
Did you actually see that? Do you ever see that YouTube documentary on the Laramie Tunsil draft and all the college? It was actually like I think it was like his stepdad that ended up releasing that video.
I heard that.
Because he wouldn't pay him. So there was like a whole story behind it, which I think did attribute to the fall in the draft, because then people were finding out like, oh shit, like booster money went to pay this guy. What if something happens in the repercussion? Like, we just can't. So I think that also attributed to his fall in the draft. But yeah, I mean, you look at him, it was just the one incident and you're fine.
Yeah, like
maybe this is going to be just the one instance for Jalen Carter, and the rumblings before were just rumblings and that was it. But he's a kid who gets his shit together, and you end up getting a very good steal out of the draft at number 5. you get the number 1 overall prospect. That's pretty fucking good.
What pick do the Eagles have? The number 10 pick?
I don't know. Here, let me see.
Because I think they have the number 10. He's not going past 10. There's no way the Eagles see this guy who would fit perfectly on their defense. He was teammates with their guy, Jordan Davis. Like, there's no way he gets past 10. I believe they're number 10, right?
They are the number 10.
Yeah, there's no way he goes past 10.
So here's the top. After the top 5, here's what it is. So 5 Seahawks, 6 Detroit, 7 Vegas, but he's off their board. 8 the Falcons, 9 the Bears, 10 the Eagles.
Is he off the Raiders board because they have so many already? They have priors.
I think it is because of if I was them as an organization, I would stay away from questionable just because 1, your location, 2, you have a history of missing on the first overall or your first round draft picks, and 3, you haven't really proven that you have, capable leaders to get people out of those situations besides Darren Waller, who you just shipped off.
They had a lot of guys like in legal trouble before, right? Like
before, yes.
Years.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Damon Arnett.
Definitely would not put him in Vegas right now. I think Philadelphia is the sweet spot. Like number 10, I can't see them passing on him. Like they just lost Javon Hargrave. They lost a bunch of players on defense. He could be a staple in their defense like immediately. Him and Jordan Davis. Like that's a great match. And they'd love to play together again.
Oh, we'll see. I think it's going to be Seattle. I think Seattle's going to end up doing it, dude. And I don't blame them.
Do they get blowback for getting him at number 5?
No.
I don't think so.
I'm going to go ahead and say
that's what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, if you're talented and you're great at what you do on the NFL field, they don't give a shit. Like, they're going to draft him at number 5, and he's going to be amazing for Seattle. And as long as he doesn't get in further trouble, no one's going to care.
As long as this is a one-time incident and, hey, you know what? I wasn't in the right mindset. I seen a couple of my friends just pass away. Like that's completely understandable. And I think Pete Carroll is the guy to really help, coax that out of Jalen Carter. If that's the case, if not, then you just whiffed on your number 5 overall draft pick.
I mean, they got a lot more picks
but not number 5. You know what I mean?
We'll see.
Especially when you have a chance to get one of the top quarterbacks in this that you really like.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Is Jordan Davis? Yeah, I'm stuck on Georgia. He's going to Philly. Is
Jalen
Carter going in the top 10 like he says he is? Is he going to drop? Is he going to have like a historic drop out of the first round? I don't know. Let us know in the comments. We want to move to the number 3 pick. The Arizona Cardinals sitting there at number 3. A lot of rumors going around because they have a quarterback, right? They have Kyler Murray.
For now, yeah.
A lot of rumors going around about this pick. Supposedly the Tennessee Titans are in on trying to trade to that pick because they like a quarterback in this draft. But then you heard the Raiders?
Yep, those are the 2 teams according to Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network. It is the Raiders and the Tennessee Titans that are really pushing for this number 3 overall pick. Of those 2 teams, who do you think is more likely?
Man, I want to say the Raiders with Will Levis. Like that guy is just like the picture perfect what Josh McDaniels wants in a quarterback. Like tall, sits in the pocket, strong arm. Oh man, I know when you seen Will Levis post those shirtless pics before and after.
No.
Yeah, he posted like pre-injury and like after, and he's just like so ripped now. I know Josh McDaniels saw that and he was drooling.
He was just
like, oh, I love strong arm quarterbacks.
I need it.
Yeah, so those biceps, Josh McDaniels all over those. That's his thing, strong arm quarterbacks. I think that's the guy they really want to target. But my pushback on that is they just got Jimmy Garoppolo. Josh McDaniels is like fighting for his life out there for his job. Does he really want to waste a pick on a quarterback? And this guy's not even going to start for them for a year, and maybe he's not going to be there in 2 years. Like, am I going to draft this guy for the next coach to come get all the credit?
And that's the thing. Does drafting Will Levis, like if you go to Mark Davis and you're like, hey, this is my plan. I see it. We have Garoppolo. We're going to do this for a year, and then we're going to move on to Levis. Will that garner you one extra year of grace if it doesn't look good? I don't think so.
Well, does
I
he have the
don't
money to
think so.
does he have the money to fire him at that point?
Probably he can. I mean, he's bearing like the Aces are making money, right? They have to be making money, right?
They got it. I mean, the Vegas real estate
But
cost
even
some
then,
big bucks.
because his casino friends will help out, but I think that doesn't garner, you know what I mean, the same pop as if, let's say, he went Anthony Richardson instead. That gives him more of a grace period because it's more of a project. Let's say he even went Bryce Young, a guy that, again, he's very familiar with that is familiar with his offense because he had Bill O'Brien as an offensive coordinator at Alabama. Bill O'Brien, of course, worked with Belichick. Belichick and McDaniels have that long tenured history of running that offense. So Bryce Young would step in and be able to play probably in the back half of year one. So the only thing is the compensation. To go from 7 to 3 is going to take a hell of a lot less than going from 11 to 3. What are the Tennessee Titans willing to give up? And like, how bad does it look that you still have Tannehill and Malik Willis on your roster?
They're willing to give up a lot more than the Raiders, I believe, because of how bad Malik Willis played. I think already Tannehill was a guy that surprised a lot of people on how well he played for a few years. And he just hasn't, he's been hurt. I don't know if they believe in him. Like, can he keep that up, that same level of play? He's obviously not like a top 10 quarterback, but I mean, when AJ Brown was there, they had a pretty explosive offense. But they don't have AJ Brown anymore. It's really, they're struggling to pass the ball, and especially if they're going to pass it off to Malik Willis at some point, like, he's going to struggle to pass the ball unless they find some amazing weapons at wide receiver. I think the fact that they're pushing and looking to trade up for a quarterback, that like already they don't believe in Malik Willis. And I don't think it's that bad of a thing. Like, everyone's like saying, oh, well, Malik Willis is still there. Like, they didn't draft him until like the 3rd round, right? He dropped.
It was a pretty big drop.
He dropped so far. So it's not like he was a 1st round quarterback. I know in that was a weird draft where everyone was saying like, oh, he's going to, like, these other quarterbacks are going to go in the 1st round. And then Kenny Pickett dropped to like mid 1st and Malik Willis dropped to the 3rd. And then Sam Howell dropped pretty far. Like, it was a weird draft. So I don't think they really put much investment into Malik Willis. And so they can move on from him. I don't think he's such a big deal to them, you know?
Yeah, and looking at it now, this is the year to do it. Last year, he had a dead cap of $57.4 million. This year, it's only 18.8. So you can get out of it.
What's next year?
Next year, he's not under contract. So
yeah, so this is the year.
This is the year to get out of it.
Draft a guy, develop him.
And I think with that, Malik Willis couldn't even start when Tannehill was out. They had a guy who wasn't even on their team, and Josh Dobbs actually step in and start. So that just tells you what they think of Malik Willis. If they're really going to push this hard to get another quarterback, it's not like, it just kind of is what it is. Like, hopefully he can be a backup for years to come. Like, that'll be good.
He might be an XFL guy in a year.
Yeah. Or maybe like the Chiefs take a flyer on him, like somewhere where a quarterback is established.
He couldn't throw at all.
He could not. Like, maybe he goes the Geno Smith route, and he just, again, perpetual backup. Like, that's your best case scenario. But even then, coming out of college, it was a project. We knew that like he's gonna have to like work through things. It's tough because you're not going to get that game time experience. It reminds me a lot of someone on the 49ers roster.
Did you see that they were trying to start a rumor that Titans were going to trade Malik Willis for Trey Lance? They're like, why are you going to do, like, where are you going to get like somewhat watered down Trey Lance?
Yeah, it's a different font.
Trey Lance is just cursive.
Yeah, I think that the Titans would give up a lot, but what do they like? What are you gonna give? How much are you gonna give like for
They're-
that number 3 pack?
They're in a weird spot where like I think like 2 years ago and the year before they were like the number 1 seed in the playoffs,
Yeah.
and then now like they're kind of are they gonna rebuild?
Are they
So
gonna give up Derrick Henry?
They thought about it, and now they're gonna keep him supposedly.
But if they're like trying to move up to the number 3 pick and the Arizona Cardinals ask for Derrick Henry, I'm shipping him off.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck it.
Give me some picks back.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what is Derrick Henry going to do really for you?
I don't know. They were thinking that with AJ Brown, and that look how that worked out. They're like, really, like, oh, do we want to pay this guy? And he only like led another team to the Super Bowl.
But it's different at running back. Running backs, they always fall off a cliff. Like, no matter what, they're going to fall. Eventually, there's going to be a cliff.
I saw Derrick Henry. I saw a video of him working out, and I don't think he's falling off.
But
it's huge.
How many carries for how many years? He's literally carried that team. I think if you're the Titans, you have to get out before you see that collapse. While he's at his peak, you've got to get that value. I said the same thing about Justin Fields.
And let's not get into that. I think this is a good draft to get out from under the Derrick Henry situation because Bijan Robinson is there, and that guy's going to be pretty special at the running back position. It's like, say you can trade up, and then you draft your quarterback of the future, and then you trade up again in the first round, and you get your running back.
I think Bijan's going to fall in the second round.
I don't think so.
I think so. Who do you think who's gonna pick him?
All right. Well, let's talk about a little Bijan Robinson now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk. Let's talk Bijan Robinson.
I think the Cowboys are prime for a Bijan Robinson pick. They just let Zeke go. They got Tony Pollard on like a tag.
Yeah,
like they're ready to go. They're ready for the next iteration of their backs.
Tony Pollard who just snapped his ankle, right?
Last season.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
in the playoffs,
and
so not even during the season. So he is going to take a little bit more time to recover.
And then you're going to tell me the Chargers, who do not want to pay Eckler anything, tell me they wouldn't want to Bijan Robinson over there? What's the first round? Let me see the first round.
Yeah, so I actually think my pick is going to be the Saints.
Kamara.
So Kamara has legal issues, and they are here. You go, bud. They're towards the end of the first round, I believe. So I think that's kind of the sweet spot. I think they're the 25th pick in the draft. But again, it's just one of those things you have if you're going to pick
the 29th.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect spot for it. And then
do you think the Bills wouldn't pass on him at the end of the first round? They need a running back. They've needed. I think here's where I think. There's Minnesota at 23. They were thinking about getting rid of Dalvin Cook, probably because they don't want to keep paying him.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Madison's there. I think he only signed a short deal.
I think did they tag him?
They might have tagged him. I think that's a perfect spot for Bijan. And then you go to a really interesting pick I was thinking of, 24, the Jaguars. I think him paired with Etienne, it could have been what they wanted James Robinson to be with Etienne. Like that, I think would be a special pairing. 26 to Dallas, I don't think he goes past 26. I think he's a first round pick for sure. I think 26 is the lowest he goes, and then 21 the Chargers. What else is Dallas gonna get? You know Jerry Jones likes flashy pieces.
That's true. I could see that. Okay, but I just don't know about the value of running backs. Like, I think last year's draft had equal or better prospects.
What did Kenneth Walker was a second round pick, right?
Yeah,
I think,
and that was the peak.
That was the guy.
Breece Hall, arguably, is a better running back prospect than Bijan Robinson.
I don't know about that, but
I said arguably. If it's your preference, I would. If it was me, I would choose Breece Hall.
I think you could argue though, like with a running back, like you're not going to sign him to a big second deal. Like look at Eckler, he's struggling to get a contract, and he had like 17 touchdowns last year. I think you could say like if we could get him in that late first round, and get that 5th-year option, like that's just another year where we don't have to give him a massive contract where he's not going to be so upset. Like I think that's pretty good value too.
See, what I'm thinking is we're gonna lowball him we're gonna get him a 2nd round, and then we're gonna lowball him early.
You're like, you know how you made no money? Here's a little bit of money.
Little bit more money.
Yeah. Well, you guys let us know in the comments. Is Bijan Robinson a 1st-round pick this year? I think he is.
I think if anything, it's going to be the Saints 29.
We'll see. Did you want to talk Texans?
Yeah, we can talk Texans.
Yeah, really quick. There was reports coming out. The Houston Texans at the number 2 pick. I think it was pretty locked in. They were going to get whoever doesn't get picked first by the Panthers at quarterback. Now they're saying, maybe they won't pick a quarterback. Who do you think that's real? Is smoke?
That's
cap?
Such bullshit. That is such bullshit. I think that it's a good move. It's lying season right now. So I think essentially what it is, it's like, hey, don't even worry about it. Like if you're thinking about getting our guy who, again, supposedly their guy has been Bryce Young. If you're thinking about getting our guy, don't even worry. We don't even want him anymore. We just want to, we're going to draft best player available. We're thinking Will Anderson. We're going to be fine with that. Don't trade with the Panthers to get above us because we're good. I think that's what it is more than anything. I think it's just really trying to ensure that nobody's going to jump them and throw off the Panthers. I think the Panthers are kind of running around like a chicken with their head cut off. They're over here whining and dining CJ Stroud. They're like, the owner's wife was like saying a prayer for him before his pro day, but then they're tied to Anthony Richardson now. His name's getting thrown out there more and more. They're still in on Bryce Young. So I just don't think they have any idea what they're going to truly do, even though we're like less than 30 days out from the draft. So don't help them. You know what I mean? Don't tie yourself to a quarterback and be like, actually, we still love Bryce Young, and make them second guess and look at Bryce Young again and be like, will they see it? What do they see that we don't see? Or, oh yeah, they see it. That reaffirms what we're going to do. I think just throwing that out there that, hey, we're not interested helps your cause because it doesn't help them to really narrow down their choices.
Here's what I'm like. Okay, with my argument for them not drafting a quarterback, I think Davis Mills isn't that bad. I think he had some juice to him. I've seen him play. Like I've watched a good amount of their games. Like I think he's made some good plays, and I think he can be a starting quarterback in the league. And if he's not, which they don't think he is, like no one really, I think, believes that he's a franchise guy. Next season, the quarterback class is better than this class. So instead of having, like, you would have loved to have that number 1 pick. That's where they almost were, but then Davis Mills made some amazing plays, and Lovie Smith really ruined it for them. But next season, like you got your Drake May, you got Caleb Williams, like those are the guys.
Bo Nix has played 7 years at Auburn.
I think all those guys are potentially better than all the guys in this class.
Yeah,
so
hands down.
I think Drake May is going to be pretty amazing. I think he's going to be the top guy if it's not Caleb Williams. And so why not trade back, get more picks, get more talent, and get ready for the guys next year? Because your team's not going to be good this year. It's not. Like, you can't just add Jimmy Ward and a quarterback at the number 2 pick and then be a playoff team.
And trade away Brandon Cooks.
So that's my argument for it. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't like trash it at first if they traded back. I'd be like, well, let's see what moves they make in the draft, like see what kind of talent they can get.
And I think we've seen like D'Amico Ryans has lived through rebuilds, with the 49ers. And hey, what does it take? We're going to build out the defensive line, the offensive line. We're going to build from, the trenches up. And so I think he'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good way of going about it. Do I think that that's ultimately what's going to happen? I don't think so. If Bryce Young is sitting there, I think they're going Bryce Young.
He's just so small. Like his frame.
I like him as a he as a prospect or as a college football player, he was the best quarterback of this draft. That's kind of hands down. He was better than CJ Stroud. He was fucking worlds better than Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. It was Bryce Young. Do I think he's the best prospect in this draft? No, because he is so small and slight, and we've seen guys like Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, that just can't, their body can't, stand the NFL season. I'd still would like to see him, go to the Texans and see what he can do.
I mean, you kind of see like what went on with Tua like this last year. He kept getting concussions, keeps getting hit. That kind of worries me. Like Tua's even like thicker than
Bryce.
Like, he's just like I don't know. I see him. He's like so skinny and like I know like small quarterbacks can play in this league. I mean, look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, he's not a small guy like in normal people world, but in the NFL world, when we've seen him at training camp,
he was small.
He was tiny compared to the rest of the team. He was a little guy, and he held up basically. So
until his arm fell off,
until his arm broke, until his arm got destroyed by a giant Eagles defender. But yeah, like there is small guys at quarterback that make it in the league. So maybe it will be him. But that's all we got.
That's all we got.
Let us know in the comments who's going number 2 to the Texans. Is it going to be Bryce Young? I think everyone thinks that's what it is. So do you agree? Disagree? And like, comment, subscribe. We got more stuff coming for you in these next couple weeks. So look out for that.
Later.